Sri Ram had to finally relent to what Sita was saying. And about the same time, Lakshman came in and he realized that Ram's mind is made up and that Sita is going too. So Lakshman said, I will come along as well. Ram tried to convince him to not come, but Lakshman reminded him that when he had got the empire, he had said, we have to do this together. So he said, empire or exile, I am there with you. Once again, we know the story of Ramayana, so we know that Sri Ram, Lakshman and Sita had gone into the forest. But pause for a moment on the incredible support that Lakshman is giving. He still doesn't think that Ram should go into exile. By the way, he doesn't agree with him. And many times when we advise somebody and they don't listen to our advice, then we say you're on your own, right? And Ram was required to go as per the ask. Sita had argued that whatever applies to him applies to me as well. Nothing required Lakshman to go. He could have stayed back in Ayodhya. He was a young prince in the prime of his life. He could have had a very good time for 14 years. He was giving all of that up only to be there to support Ram and Sita. What incredible commitment again.
This becomes a reference point for one sense of brotherhood.
Yes. Ram told him to go and seek the blessings and consent of all his near and dear ones. Vraja pruchhasva saumitre sarvadeva suhrujjanam. So go and ask your near and dear ones, get their consent, and then you can come. Ram and Sita then started preparing to leave. And as part of that, I want to mention one interesting incident that Valmiki has mentioned, that Ram first gave away 14 years of advance wages to the people in his palace. He gave away many gifts. And as he was doing that, he cracked the joke with somebody. And then he said, oh, don't mind, I was just joking. But what this shows you is that his frame of mind, he was truly calm. When you can joke about things, and he knew that the atmosphere was very tense, right? People were sad to see him go. So even there, to lighten the mood, he cracked the joke, and but then of course he said, don't get upset. And then finally the time came for departure, and Ram, Lakshman and Sita went to see Dashrath. Dashrath was in the court. Some word had gotten out, so the court was full. And Ram went up to Dashrath and told him that he had come to seek his blessing. He will go now. But he also said that Sita and Lakshman will come along as well. I've tried to convince them, but they would not agree. So please grant them leave. Dashrath then said in, a packed court, he said, I do not want you to go. Please understand, I am trapped because of my words. Arrest me and become the king today itself. Tvameva adya bhava raja nigrahiyamam. So clearly, sometimes we understand the Ramayana as, Dashrath asked Ram to leave. He did not. He in fact told him, arrest me. But like he said, he was trapped by the promises that he had made. And this is the first time everybody else had understood what's going on. See, so far the others, the Sumantra and Vasishta, nobody knew what was going on. Sumantra lashed out at Kaikeyi. Mind you, a charioteer speaking in harsh words, Vakya Vajraihi. His words were like thunderbolts. But of course, did not change Kaikeyi's mind. Then Kaikeyi got Chirvastras. Chirvastras are rough, unstitched cloths. So as ascetics in the forest, you have to wear this. You can't wear your royal clothes. These are unstitched cloths. So Kaikeyi got the Chirvastra, gave them to Ram, Lakshman, and then to Sita. Sita looked at it. She was puzzled. And she asked Ram, Katham nu chiram badnanti munayo vanavasinaha. How do they wear this? How do they tie it? Right? An innocent question, but it really brought home for everybody that Sita was totally unprepared for forest life. She didn't know. She had been brought up in the palace in Mithila and now in Ayodhya. She had said that, heaven is wherever You are there and hell without you. But really, for the practical difficulties of forest life, she was unprepared. Guru Vasishtha then spoke up. He said, Sita need not go. In fact, she will stay here and rule in Ram's name while he is away. But Sita won't agree to that. So, but just at that time, by the way, the people spoke up, and they spoke up against Dashrath. They said, Dhik Tvam Dashratham. Shame on you, O King Dashrath. Now, look at this. What a fall for the king. He had just presided over a parishad, and now people in his own court were shouting against him. Dashrath found some courage, and he said, Sita will take some clothes, royal clothes and jewelry with her, because she was not required to wear the Chirvastras. And you know that this jewelry will play some role later on in the story. Also, Lakshman was going away, but his mother, Sumitra, she had a very different reaction to this whole situation than Kausalya. Remember, Kausalya was heartbroken, right? She was crying. But Sumitra was strong. And she blessed Lakshman. And it's, I'll tell you the verse, because again, that will play a role later on in the story. She said, Ramam Dasharatham Viddhi, Mam Viddhi Janakatmajam, Ayodhyam Atavim Viddhi, Gacchatat Yatha Sukham. Treat Ram as your father now. So she's telling Lakshman, treat Ram as your father and Sita as your mother. The forest is now Ayodhya for you. Gachatata yatha sukham. Go forth, my child, be well. So she's wishing him luck. She's very strong. Once again, this will also, just like these the jewelry, this verse will also play a role later on in the story. So finally, the time came to leave. Dashrath asked Sumantra to leave, to take the chariot and leave Ram, Lakshman and Sita up till the borders of the Janpad. So Sumantra brought the chariot, and as they got up, there was chaos in the crowd. People were trying to hold on to the chariot. They were telling Ram to come back. And as the chariot pulled away, Dashrath came out of the palace trying to take one last look at Ram, but he stumbled and fell. Kausalya came running after, crying, Ram, Lakshman, Sita. But tears were flowing down her cheeks. She could hardly see. Ram turned back and saw his mother and father in such pain. He told Sumantra to move fast, so that everything gets over fast. Move fast out of the city. But still, there was a big crowd around the chariot and chaos. Valmiki says, a cloud of dust had been kicked up because of this chaos. But Paura Janashrubhi Patitaihi Abhyavahitam Mahirajah Prananasha. Tears so drenched the earth that the dust itself got settled. And with that, Ram, Lakshman and Sita's chariot pulled out of the city of Ayodhya. Iti her asa. That is how it happened.
Don't know how to end this episode.
Actually, they have just stepped out of Ayodhya, but before we end, I want to take the story ahead a few more hours, because this is not a tragedy. I don't want to leave it at the thought of people crying, because this is a story of overcoming the challenges of life. So if we just go ahead, what happened was hundreds of people followed the chariot. They kept telling Ram to come back. He kept telling them to go back. That went on till they stopped for the first night on the banks of Tamsa. And the next morning, before the sun was up, Ram, Lakshman and Sita and Sumantra got up before anybody else was up, and they went away on their own so that there's no fuss. The same thing doesn't repeat the next day. And they went off on their exile.
Hey, if you enjoyed today's clip, make sure you check out all the other clips we've uploaded on this channel. You'll find a clip related to almost every single topic, as long as you're willing to search for it.